see the signal in there, that means we're streaming. What you guys are going to want is to make a graphic that we can put up. That just, you could just say live event production, and then have your name on it for your segment, and then have your name on it for your segment. Design it in any way you want. Make it 1920 by 1080. We'll just bring it into here and we'll bring it up. So like right now, if we hit see, it's probably okay. Here's picture in picture. That's off right now. If we see, we could do a picture in picture with the two cameras. See that?
Oh yeah, I thought about doing that.
Or you can do it like this.
Because I was thinking like having one of the screens be like a video, and then I would be like the commentator, like on the side.
Yeah, and then there's a way to set it for a graphic. Okay, how did we get that? Was it MP1? No.
Oh yeah, you just have to cut it then, because that's in the other thing.
MP2, MP1.
Because then, yeah, those are the two graphics. So yeah, we could just have it like that, put it in as graphic 1 and 2, and then cut it into the real screen.
Right, and then to get back, we just cut to 1, and then 1 to 2. So we're back to normal. That's so that this is for your MP. I don't know if MP stands for media photo.
Maybe
all right, so I'm going to check to see if it's going. I'll come in here and tell you that we are live, and we can start anytime. And then when you guys are done, because I can't stick around all day, then you just put all of this equipment, unplug the camera, turn the cameras off, unplug everything, put it on that cart, or that cart there, stick it in here. This door is locked. Yep. And you know how to turn off lights? They're really easy to turn off.
Yeah, so then you just tap all of them.
You can either bring all these down. There's a virtual slide to bring all this down. Hold this in until it says hibernate.
That's what it is. Yeah, I remember I tried to turn it off, but I only like tapped it rather than holding it. So I was like, hey, turn it off.
And you don't have to hit any of these light switches. All the lights in here will turn off by themselves. This door is locked. Hello.
And then Patrick. Oh god, that would suck. But actually shoot for like 15 minutes on. Try to get around there.
I'll put this on-air light on here, and then when you're done, make sure to flip the switch back down off of on-air so that light isn't on. Okay? So you're on your own, and I'll make sure that the audio is sounding good. You got your mic on, everything?
Streaming right now though.
Now, we can just leave this open. It's not loud.
With that, it says the stop streaming, but we're still streaming, but I don't see anything that you're on air.
Hello there. Today I'm here to broadcast about the recent baseball playoffs that's been coming up. Just recently, 2 days ago, the Diamondbacks were able to overcome the Phillies, beating them in a very close 4-3, being able to move on to the World Series. In other news around the playoffs, surprisingly, of the 4 teams, 2 on each side that got the first round bye, only the Astros were able to make it on to the next round, which is a very weird thing that happened, as usually the top teams that are in the league are able to move on with the better records, especially like the Braves, where they had the best record in the entirety of baseball, but ended up only getting 1 win over the Phillies in a 3-1 loss. But as this is a new version of the playoffs, like bracket, without it being just the 1-game wild card, and 2 teams getting a 1-week-ish bye, some people are a little question if actually having a bye is even worth it, as 3 of the 4 teams ended up losing. So they're not really. There might be some changes in the league next year for how the playoffs end up working, because usually the teams that do a lot better should be making it. Like the Braves, Orioles, and Rays all had over a 600 record. Yeah, those were the 3 teams that ended up not moving on to the next round. As the Rays ended up not winning their overall playoffs because the Orioles were just a bit better, they still somehow ended up getting swept 2-0 by the Texans, which was a pretty big upset. But Texans have been doing very well recently. I feel like they were probably the ones that they had like the hardest schedule against the Rays and the Orioles, who were the number 1 and 2 team in the AL side, and yet they're somehow now in the playoffs. That was a big surprise. But they were even able to beat the Astros to make it to the World Series, which is also surprising in a 4-3 victory. But they clearly had the hardest one, with having to go up against all the strong people in the AL side, but they were somehow able to overcome it. Kind of the exact same for the Diamondbacks. They ended up having to beat the Dodgers in the second round, who did pretty well. They were the number 2 team in the league, also over 600. But being able to sweep them 3-0 is quite a large victory over the Dodgers, as they have been good all year. But on the other side, the Phillies beating the Braves was pretty big, 3-1, as the Braves were probably the favorite to win the entire series, as they had by far probably one of the best records in baseball of all time in a season. They had just so many runs and home run records set in like per month. So the fact that they ended up getting beaten by the Phillies was quite unfortunate for their fans. But it ended up being the Phillies and the Diamondbacks that matched up in the finals on that side. But pretty close games overall. They, on both ends, they ended up 4-3 going to the last 7th game. So I would have to assume that in the World Series here, it's going to be a really good finish. Not really a blowout on either side. It'll probably go to Game 6 or Game 7 again, as it kind of went back and forth each time, with the Diamondbacks and Phillies, Rangers, Astros, as one team just did better than the other team did better. Just a lot of back and forth games. But another interesting but unfortunate thing is, as most of you probably know, the Diamondbacks are who beat the Brewers in the playoffs. But a weird streak for the Brewers is that every team that has beaten them in the postseason has ended up winning the entire World Series. It's gone on for the past 5 years that they've gotten into the World Series, so that's an unfortunate record. But Diamondbacks will win it once again, as if that trend would continue, the Brewers, whoever beats the Brewers ends up winning the World Series. So that would be quite unfortunate for them.
The audio is just not right. Something's weird here. We're getting a lot of static. Say something. See, I can hear it here, but are we getting?
Is it just too much feedback in the actual? Or is it because I can hear the static? Am I like too close to it? Maybe?
No, I don't know what is going on here. It almost sounds like the camera was picking us up. The audio, let's see. Yeah, we're getting a bunch of static. Oh, it's picking it up through this mic here.
Oh, wait, did we mute it, or is it unmuted? Because I remember I think we did mute it, because that was like the cameras or something. At least the last time.
So the audio input, and this mic is muted here. That one's muted, but this one's going. Let's see if. I think it was this mic picking you up,
Capturing it.
Sorry.
Oh, we just didn't actually have
This
like the
is
correct one in.
much better.
On like OBS, we had like the wrong one connected to it.
Yeah, we were sending out the audio signal from the computer.
Yeah, that would make sense
and
why
it
it's a
was
lot
picking up
worse.
everything, and it was a lot of static and stuff like that. Did you hear that the Brewers manager, gave him permission to talk to?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he probably is going to be leaving, but I mean, there might be a shot that he stays, but I feel like it'd be pretty hard for that actually to happen.
They would probably have to fork out big bucks, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he does kind of deserve it. He's a really good manager. He's kind of brought the Brewers to playoff contention, but
they couldn't get any farther than.
yeah,
just
no,
making the playoffs.
every single time the Brewers have made the playoffs, they just keep losing in the first round. They're not able to continue on, which is pretty unfortunate. But the Brewers just aren't really that great of a hitting team. They're really more of a defensive team, as they aren't like the other teams, like the Dodgers or the Braves. Like, they have a lot of strength and like home run hitting power, but as the Brewers, they obviously don't have as much funding, so they have to go to like different types of play, being defensive and way better pitching than most other teams.
Okay, the audio is great now.
Nice.
So just say sorry about the technical difficulties with the audio. You just recap a little bit.
Okay,
what you said
okay.
before.
Yeah, unfortunately our audio is kind of bad recently, so I'll just go through a recap of what I said before. Oddly enough, in this year of the league, of the four teams that got the first round bye, only the Astros were able to make it out in a 3-1 win, and of the other three teams, 2 of them got swept, and 1 of them only got 1 win. So I feel like for next year, in the way that they do the playoffs, it might be a little bit changed, because if you play baseball for about like 6-7 months, and then it comes down to the playoffs at the ending where it's only a few games that you play. But if the best teams through the entire season, like the Braves, they had some of the best stats overall of any like regular season, end up losing 3-1 in the playoffs, even though they've beat the Phillies before. It's just kind of an odd statistic that they might want to get rid of next time, because while it is nice to see sometimes the underdog stories and like the other ways people win, sometimes it is just kind of better if the number 1 team ends up sweeping the entire thing, because they had been playing so good the entire time. But another recap was that the Texans probably had the absolute hardest schedule. They had to beat the Rays and the Orioles, who were both over 600 average this season, which was the number 1 and the number 2 in the ALC side, which is very hard, but somehow they were able to sweep both of them, which is pretty insane, as they haven't been one of the best teams this year, but certainly haven't been bad. They were 550 average, which is definitely nothing to shy away from. But to beat sweep both the Orioles and the Rays was quite a big feat. So they have a lot of momentum going into the playoffs. But I suppose the same can be said for the Diamondbacks, because they were also able to sweep the Dodgers and the Brewers, which is less impressive, but still pretty good to sweep the Dodgers. But in other news, it'll be probably a very intense World Series this time around, with both of the pre-playoff ones and the Final Four both went to Game 7 in a 4-3 win for each team. Probably in the World Series here we'll get to at least Game 6 or 7, with it being pretty close in most of the games, but maybe one or two will be a blowout, depending on the pitching. But that's about all for content we've got here. There'll probably be a lot of different manager changes and new players picked up from rookies in the next coming year. But it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with the Brewers, as they might not have Craig Counsell next year, who would be the replacement, or if they're able to keep him, will they have to move other stuff around, because they'll probably have to give him a way higher paying contract. So it'll be interesting to see how baseball turns out next year, see if any of the same big league players are on the same teams, or if they move around or redo their schedules. One of the better pitchers on the Cardinals ended up retiring this year, so maybe we have some pitching change. But yeah, that wraps up for our baseball review coming up to the World Series. It's been a pretty good tournament with some pretty big upsets, but we have the Texans and the Diamondbacks starting tomorrow at 7 o'clock, so should be a pretty good baseball performance in the World Series here, but we'll have to see what ends up happening.